welcome to News at 6 on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Ashwarya Kapoor. Now, PDP's veteran leader Mufti Mohammad Saeed took oath as the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister today. We'll be looking closely at the PDP-BJP alliance, an alliance of ideologically opposite parties. This and much more in the next half an hour. But first up, the headlines. Mufti Mohammad Saeed sworn in as Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister to head a historic PDP-BJP coalition government in the state. The two parties announced common minimum program to overcome contentious issues. Government reasserts resolve to see passage of land ordinance in Parliament. The 5 other ordinances are also to be tabled in the House tomorrow. Massive tributes to slain Russian opposition leader Boris Nemtsov in Moscow as thousands gather for a march in his honor. Nemtsov's allies call it a political killing linked to President Putin. And at the ICC World Cup, Sri Lanka thrashed England and Pakistan beat Zimbabwe. Well, the top story, our historic PDP-BJP alliance government is in place in Jammu and Kashmir nearly 3 months after assembly election results were announced in the state. Veteran People's Democratic Party leader Mufti Mohammad Saeed took oath as the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister this morning. The two parties with sharply differing ideologies claim that they have built strong enough bridges. Take a look.
I, Mufti Mohammad Saeed, do swear in the name of God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India.
The beginning of a new political innings for the 79-year-old former Indian Home Minister. Mufti Mohammad Saeed took oath with 25 ministers of the PDP and BJP. The BJP's Nirmal Singh will be the Deputy CM.
मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा.
Prime Minister Modi and a number of BJP veterans attended. Hammering out the vast differences has been a focus for both parties over the last 49 days of governor's rule in the state. Chief Minister Saeed, accepting the alliance as an art of the possible despite contradictions, said challenges ahead demanded an end to differences.
I don't want to criticize anybody. I want to look to future. हम क्या करेंगे? अगर जम्मू कश्मीर को मॉडल ऑफ डेवलपमेंट बनाना है, जैसे गुजरात पे कहते हैं जो हमारे लोग अच्छा है, नमूने की हुकूमत है, गुड गवर्नेंस, उसके लिए मुफ्ती मोहम्मद सईद को अलायंस को पीस इज प्री रिक्विजिट, पहले पीस मिलना चाहिए. हम इतिहास को बदलना चाहते हैं. वी वांट टू मेक दिस अलायंस ए टर्निंग पॉइंट इन trying to meet hearts and minds of people.
It's celebrations for both parties, at least for now, amid claims that they have found a way out of the ideological impasses like Article 370 and the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. But there's no missing the depth of the contradictions. Former Chief Minister Omar Abdullah took potshots, saying the new BJP ministers swore allegiance to the same state constitution their ideologue died fighting. The opposition dismissed the new government as little more than an opportunistic alliance.
You know, it is complete opportunism at display. It clearly shows that the people of this country should not trust anything which the BJP says, whether it is Article 370 or the Uniform Civil Code or the Ram Mandir. When it comes to power, they are prepared to sacrifice everything on the altar of pelf and power.
Who will run the government and who will destroy state central relation? I think this combination Modi and Mufti shall prove a great threat to the integrity of the country and to the state central relations.
जिन चीजों का डॉक्टर श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी ने अपने जीवन काल में विरोध किया था, जो भारतीय जनसंघ की बुनियाद थी, आज उन सारे सवालों पर आत्मसमर्पण करके भाजपा ने डॉक्टर मुखर्जी के विचार को अलविदा कह दिया.
Getting over political hurdles that will emerge frequently will be a tough task as the new dispensation gets down to the much-needed governance issues. The BJP finally has a say in power in Jammu and Kashmir. a massive landmark, but how far it can push its own agenda remains to be seen. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
And the new Chief Minister offered a glimpse of the coalition government's stand on key issues soon after he and his 25-member cabinet took oath in Jammu today. The BJP and PDP had diametrically opposite views on many issues, and the common minimum program is an effort to bridge that divide.
Talks have been on between the two sides for the last 2 months. They have evolved a common minimum program looking to build a bridge on contentious issues, which is to work as a roadmap for governing the state.
हमने एक दूसरे की जो सेंसिटिविटीज हैं, जो स्टैंड है, उसको रिस्पेक्ट करते हुए जिस प्रकार का मैंडेट है, हमने उस प्रकार का जो है कॉमन मिनिमम प्रोग्राम बनाया है और सरकार अच्छी चलाने का संकल्प लिया है.
The two parties held a joint press conference later in the day to release the common minimum program. Here are the highlights. On the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, the coalition will thoroughly review the security situation in the state to examine the need and desirability of all the special laws being applied. On Article 370, the present position will be maintained on all the constitutional provisions including special status. Another contentious issue is dialogue with the separatists. The coalition is to facilitate and initiate sustained dialogue with all internal stakeholders irrespective of their ideological views and leanings. On the peace process with Pakistan, the coalition government will be empowered to catalyze reconciliation and confidence building within and across the line of control, thereby ensuring peace in the state. Then the refugees from West Pakistan. The government will take measures for their sustenance and livelihood. A one-time settlement will be worked out for refugees from POK. The new Jammu and Kashmir cabinet will meet for the first time on Monday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, let's put things in perspective. We have with us Mr. Anil Anand, who is the Chief of Bureau, Greater Kashmir. Mr. Anand, thank you so much for joining us here on Rajya Sabha TV. Mr. Anand, now after 49 days of governor's rule in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, we have a government in Jammu and Kashmir, but Prime Minister Narendra Modi says it is an historic opportunity to fulfill public aspirations, but with the kind of diametrically opposite ideologies the two parties have. Do you think that would be possible?
See, this is not the time to sound like a pessimist. It's a very difficult alliance, all of us know. You say 2 months, I say the talks were being held for more than 1 month, 1 year. The two parties established contact with each other before the Lok Sabha elections. First the Lok Sabha elections, then they started talking about the assembly elections. Rightly, Mr. Mufti and Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi have called it a historic moment or a historic alliance. I will go a step further. This is not only historic but bold initiative on both the sides, for which both the leaders should be commended. It was very difficult for them to come together. They represent very diverse constituencies.
Yes.
There were issues already. There is a historic baggage in Jammu and Kashmir. There was a strong sense of regional discrimination between Jammu region and Kashmir region, the two main constituents of Jammu and Kashmir. So now they have arrived at a minimum understanding in the shape of common minimum program.
Yes.
Which they have addressed in their own style and own way. My fear is now the real challenge starts now. Now their supporters in both the regions, PDP in Srinagar and BJP in Jammu,
yes.
They are expecting now how things unfold. The politics cannot be ignored, which Mufti Muhammad Saeed also said in Delhi the other day he was here. He said political issues have to be addressed, only then development can go hand in hand or after that. So on political issues, people in both the regions will be expecting what stand do they take.
Yes.
So there are negative forces which are trying to create some confusion. So the main challenge right now for both the political parties and the leaders would be to choose their words very, very carefully.
This is very interesting. You're saying the leaders should choose their words very carefully. But I think within hours of being sworn in as the Chief Minister, Mr. Saeed today said that Hurriyat, Pakistan and militants, he actually praised them for allowing successful elections in the state. Now BJP has taken a it has reacted very cautiously to this statement, but is it a kind of precursor of the things that we are going to see?
Mr. Syed is a very mature politician. He has a long experience of being in politics and in government. As you know, as all of know, he is the former Union Home Minister.
Yes.
He must have uttered these words in a very planned manner. He is very cautious with his words. What I was trying to say earlier on, they should be very selective with their words and cautious. Each and every word would matter. It will create a counter-reaction in the other region. Mr. Mufti and even BJP leaders in there, some of the leaders have already gone out tweeting as a reaction to the Mufti's statement. I know there is anxiety on both the sides. How to engage with their respective support base.
True.
So maybe out of this anxiety, the Mufti tried to send first signal. According to me, he is a very senior person. I shouldn't be seen as giving him some kind of a lesson.
Yes.
But I think it was too early in the day for Mufti Sahib to have given such a strong statement. According to him, there's nothing wrong in it, but there are other, as a nation, the others have to look at this statement in a different perspective. The Election Commission has a different perspective on it. Because Mufti Syed Saab's statement has put a finger on Election Commission and the security agencies also in one way or the other.
True, true.
But fact of the matter is, the entire democratic system of India was behind the success of these elections.
Right.
Yes, terrorists, I don't know, I can't talk about Pakistan, how they behaved or how they didn't behave. But certainly, if an atmosphere was created, some effort must have been made to talk to at least Hurriyat leaders or the local component of the separatist diaspora. There is a possible, such efforts are made before every election in Jammu and
Mr. Omar Abdullah also tweeted after the statement, he said then we might as well thank Pakistan then for the elections.
Obviously, he is a political rival. At this moment, just at the beginning of this program, we saw certain reactions from other political parties also.
Yes.
See, political parties have to react in their own way. It would have been better if they also, all the political parties, they also show caution. Time is ahead. There's a lot of time. They'll get a lot of time to settle political scores in the coming days or in coming months. I think I don't take Omar's statement very seriously because for him also it's a survival game now.
True.
He has to rebut. He has to criticize whatever the alliance would do. Be the BJP leader, be Mufti Sahab. So it should be seen in that context.
All right, Mr. Anand. Thank you so much for putting things in perspective for us. Of course, it's a controversial statement that Mr. Syed has made, but we're just hoping that the historic alliance that the state has seen is now going to... Yes, true. Will offer a lot of happiness really for the people of the state. Thank you so much, Mr. Anand. Moving on in the bulletin now. Well, a day after the government presented its first full budget, the Prime Minister today attended the Silver Jubilee celebrations of Software Services Association body NASSCOM. With Communications Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad, the two commended the work of the country's software industry in leaving a lasting imprint on the global markets.
Policy framework.
An event celebrating 25 glorious years of the National Association of Software and Services Companies, NASSCOM. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Communications and Information Technology Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad and Jayant Sinha, Minister of State for Finance, were present at the function commending NASSCOM's journey. Prime Minister Modi said the industrial body has been monumental in transforming India's image globally and empowering the Indian people.
नेस्कॉम के इस नेटवर्क के माध्यम से लाखों नौजवानों को रोजगार मिला, उनको अवसर मिले, देश की इकोनॉमी को लाभ हुआ, भारत को आधुनिक बनाने की दिशा में कुछ कदम हम भी चले, लेकिन इन सबसे भी अलग एक बात जो मुझे हमेशा लगती है, इस आईटी के कारण पूरी दुनिया को भारत की तरफ देखने का रवैया बदलना पड़ा.
Prasad also recalled the massive hurdles that NASSCOM has overcome to portray the Indian market in a competitive and qualitative light to the world. He said the body has highlighted the country's intellectual and entrepreneurial skills outstandingly.
Can you Indian give a quality product? Can you Indian give a product in time? Can you Indian compete? These three were the recurring walls you had to face everywhere in the world. But today when we reflect, when we introspect, we see not only you conquered, but from that process emerged certain new icons of India who are deeply respected and have become a role model.
NASSCOM Chairman R. Chandrasekharan, Infosys founder N.R. Narayan Murthy and Wipro Chairman Azim Premji were among the other top industrialists present. NASSCOM will also host a discussion with Ravi Shankar Prasad and Jayant Sinha talking to industry leaders on the Union Budget 2015 and the opportunities for the Indian IT BPO industry. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
And Finance Minister Arun Jaitley today announced a significant increase in service tax in the coming year. Service tax rates have been hiked to 14% from the current 12.36%, impacting prices of a whole range of day-to-day products.
The Finance Minister may have made exemptions for the middle class, but he certainly made things costlier as well. Eating out with your family is just one of them. After a hike in service tax from the current 12.36% to 14%, visits to amusement parks, concerts and sporting events will also get costlier. You'll also have to shell out more money for phone bills. The Finance Minister also came down heavily on smokers and tobacco consumers with a steep increase in excise rate. The excise duty on tobacco was raised to 70 rupees per kg from the current 60 rupees per kilo. Liquor has also become expensive. So too imported commercial vehicles, cement, aerated flavored drinks and packaged water, plastic bags and sacks. But not everything is going up though. Service tax exemption was extended to services of cold storage of fruits and vegetables and ambulance services. Excise duty was reduced on several day-to-day items like leather footwear priced above 1000 rupees per pair, locally made mobile phones, LED LCD panels, LED lights and lamps, computer tablets, microwave ovens, refrigerator compressors and agarbattis. According to the Finance Minister, the present rates were increased in order to facilitate a smooth transition to levy of tax on services by both the centre and the states. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And Parliamentary Affairs Minister Venkaiah Naidu reasserted the government's resolve to see the passage of land ordinance in the Parliament. The ordinance will be taken up along with 5 others in the Parliament tomorrow. Venkaiah Naidu said the government is open to considering meaningful suggestions from opposition on the matter. He said the bill will greatly benefit the farmers and the government is committed for their welfare. The government claims it is going an extra mile and not declining the compensation to farmers but enhancing it 4 times.
Parliament will be taking up the 6 ordinances to convert them into bills in the coming days. And as far as the land acquisition ordinance is concerned, the government is committed to this ordinance, but if any meaningful suggestions come, definitely they will be considered, and we are there to protect the interests of the farmers.
With 36 more deaths in the last 24 hours, the toll due to swine flu in the country has reached 1,041. The number of people affected by the H1N1 virus stands at 19,046 in the first 2 months this year. With rainy conditions prevailing in many parts of the country, there is a possibility of steep rise in numbers. Rajasthan with the 234 and Gujarat with the 231 deaths have been the worst affected states. Madhya Pradesh with 151 reported deaths and Maharashtra with 131 deaths are also badly affected states. In Delhi, 10 people have died of swine flu, while the number of affected has risen to 2,791. Now, Health Minister JP Nadda had admitted that the country was facing a shortage of laboratories for testing swine flu, and he had assured that efforts were being made to set up such facilities in all the states. And more news from across the nation in Nationwide. Jammu and Kashmir police today busted a massive drug and fake currency racket in the state. Police recovered 1,26,000 rupees worth of fake currency and 1,100 grams of heroin from the arrested persons. Police have arrested 6 people so far and are on the lookout for 4 others. The 2-day winter carnival began in Jammu and Kashmir today. The carnival is being held at the snow-covered Patni Top area in Kashmir's Udhampur district. A number of snow sports like skiing, sledging, tug-of-war and snowman building are on offer for the tourists at the carnival. Members of the Tanghul tribe of Northeast showcased their rich tradition and cultural heritage at a function held in Chennai. The performance was based on the theme of Nuira Panit, an annual snowing festival. The festival is celebrated by Tanghul tribe to seek blessings of the god for a bountiful harvest. The festival is celebrated for 4 days. Alright, we'll take a very short break here. Still to come, Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar leaves for a tour of SAARC nations. He will be in Pakistan on Tuesday. That and much more after a short break. Stay with us.
Watch the world come alive in your living room. Defining moments. Momentous events. News Tonight, your window to the world. Every night at
Welcome back after the break. You're watching News at 6. Let's move on in the bulletin now. Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar today called on Bhutanese Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay soon after arriving in Thimphu on his first leg of his SAARC Yatra. Jaishankar's Bhutan visit will be followed by Bangladesh on 2nd of March, Pakistan on 3rd of March and Afghanistan on 4th of March. Jaishankar will travel to Pakistan 7 months after India cancelled Foreign Secretary level talks. During the visit to the SAARC capitals, Jaishankar will review various initiatives for the region, including SAARC satellites and regional university, as were proposed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his visit to Nepal. And on to some international news, and thousands took to the streets of Moscow today to honor opposition politician Boris Nemtsov, who was shot dead on Friday. Nemtsov was due to lead an opposition march and the Russian president's economic policies on Sunday. But his supporters are now marching to the bridge near Kremlin, the spot where the former deputy prime minister was gunned down. At a makeshift memorial near the Kremlin, a pile of flowers continues to grow where thousands of people are pouring in since Saturday to pay their tributes. Moscow police continues an investigation into the killing, in which President Vladimir Putin has promised to take under personal control. Putin condemned Nemtsov's murder as vile and cynical. However, Nemtsov's allies have called it a political killing linked to his opposition to President Putin and also the Ukrainian conflict.
Я не боюсь. Москва — это мой родной город, я здесь родилась, здесь жила и буду жить до конца своих дней. Мы ничего не боимся, стоит только запугать нас, и все, пойдет на смарку, как говорится, ребят. Нет, я не боюсь.
And some more international news and updates in our special segment, Global Buzz. The United States and Turkey will begin training and equipping thousands of moderate Syrian rebel forces on Sunday as part of a deal the two NATO allies signed last week. After several months of negotiations, Ankara and Washington signed an agreement on 19th of February to train and arm Syria's anti-regime fighters. Turkey, an outspoken critic of Syrian President Bashar Assad, hopes the rebel factions to be trained and they will battle the regime in Damascus as well as insurgents from Islamic State. An Egyptian court has sentenced the head of the banned outfit Muslim Brotherhood to life in prison on charges of killing protesters who stormed the group's Cairo headquarters in 2013. Mohammed Badi was already facing 3 other life sentences in other cases, while 3 of his co-defendants were handed down death penalty in the same trial. 14 others, including Badi's deputies Khairat al-Shate and Saad al-Kalkani, were given life terms. Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong is reported to be recovering well nearly 2 weeks after his surgery to treat prostate cancer. Senior Minister Goh, who made the announcement, urged the public to refer to official sources for updates on the health of former Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew and avoid spreading rumours. Estonians are voting in a general elections overshadowed by security concerns sparked by Russia's involvement in Ukraine. The Centre Party, which has ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin, is expected to do well, but it is seen as a pariah by other parties who are likely to band together to renew the current governing coalition. Estonia was once part of the former Soviet Union but is now a NATO member. Australia is joining Indonesia and Malaysia in starting trials of a new method for tracking aircraft over remote oceanic areas. Air Services Australia, along with its Malaysian and Indonesian counterparts, will test the new method that tracks aircraft every 15 minutes compared with 30 to 40 minutes previously. It will use existing technology fitted to 90% of long-haul aircraft. The new measures come after the disappearance of Malaysian airline MH370 a year ago. And on to cricket, and Sri Lanka handed England their 3rd cruising defeat of the World Cup, winning comfortably by 9 wickets in a Pool A game at Wellington. In Pool B match, Pakistan got their first win of the World Cup, beating Zimbabwe by 20 runs. Take a look.
England came into the match under pressure with just 1 win from 3 games. They started off well with a 62-run first wicket partnership, but it was Joe Root's century and some late power hitting by Joe Butler that propelled England to 309 for 6, their highest total of the tournament. Sri Lanka started the chase on a positive note with a 100-run first wicket partnership between Thirumanne and Tilakratne Dilshan. Kumar Sangakkara then joined Thirumanne as both batsmen went on to make centuries in a 212-run second wicket partnership. The pair comfortably sealed the victory with 16 balls remaining.
We were 1 down when things started, but we came back really hard. But that's not in the end. We have to play against Australia in the next match, so we want to give our 100% and win that match also. So.
In the second match, Pakistan were looking for their first win of the World Cup. Batting first, they started off poorly, losing first 2 wickets for just 4 runs. Captain Misbah-ul-Haq scored a steady 73 as wickets stumbled at the other end. Wahab Riaz made a quick-fire 54 in the end to push the total to 235 for 7. Zimbabwe lost a few early wickets but kept themselves in the chase, with Brendan Taylor and Sean Williams combining for a 56-run fourth wicket partnership.
57 from 50.
But after losing Williams at the score of 150, Zimbabwe lost their way and fell 20 runs short of their target. Mohammad Irfan took 4 wickets for Pakistan. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Alright, let's take a look at the points tally after today's matches. So we're looking at Pool A first. New Zealand top Pool A with 4 wins from 4 games. Sri Lanka at the second place with 6 points after today's game. Bangladesh and Australia are next with 3 points. England is at 6th place with only 1 win from 4 games. Talking about Pool B, now India are at the top with 6 points, followed by South Africa, West Indies and Ireland with 4 points each. Pakistan moved from the bottom with their first win of the tournament. Well, that's all in this edition of News at 6. Thanks so much for watching.